Alright, this video about AMD, I'm going to simplify it. So we know that this was a full move right here. This was an ABC move. Ignore these. This is an alt count. This is an ABC move, likely a W wave. Then we got an X wave here. And then we get 5 waves down. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we actually got 9 waves total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was a little bit off on this. I had this as potentially 3, 4, 5. Ended up getting a bigger 4th wave, and then we came down here. We held the 200 on the weekly. But that should be it. That should be the bottom right there for a while. And so to make it pretty simple here, it did not reach the supply zone at all. There's a gap at 127, there's a gap at 119, and there's a gap at 116. So in order to get to the 50% retracement, which I think is probably about minimum of where we would go on this retracement, that's right here into weekly, weekly supply at 141. So the 1.61 fib, in order to get to 141, the 1.61 fib, that's a little bit short, is around like 130. So that's kind of why in order to get to 137, I said 128.2, potentially 130, anywhere in this box. We have not hit it yet. And so I think that it's likely we have another move up. And it's also likely that we have a retracement and another move higher after this. And then I'm looking for a big move down. So I'm looking for this to still play out. Down here to 93 bucks. And that would end up finishing off WXY. So this would just be ABC in its own. Why 93 bucks? Because of the length of this W to X, around 93 bucks is the target. Could it go farther than that? It can go a little bit farther than that. The 1.61 fib is sitting here at 83 bucks. I don't think it's going to go anywhere farther than that. Let's look at standard deviations. So standard deviations, it is pretty much at the bottom of the daily. It's kind of in the middle now, but on the weekly, it's at the very, very bottom. So you can see we went from over very extreme all the way down here to pretty extreme. I think it has a chance to, this will change too. Who knows, maybe this will go all the way up here to 157 too. It could do that as well. If it goes to 157, let's look at this. That would hit right around the target still too. So 157 is the next supply zone after that. I think the most important thing here is to focus on the supply and demand. We haven't even made it to the supply zone yet. So yeah, we got a green candle on the weekly, which we hadn't had since October of 24. But this is the start of a new trend up. So whether it ends here at 140 or ends here at 157, you got to stay long here. You got to stay away from the covered calls. And still looking for 128 to 130 on this move. If you zoom in here and look at this move from the bottom, I think that it's likely in some kind of 4th wave potentially, and then this is maybe a C wave right here, and this is going to come up here to 128 to 130. And then you should see a retracement, probably back down here to like 119, which is around the 0.61 fib. I don't know about coming all the way down here. It could, I guess, be a pretty big retracement. And then I'm looking for the next move higher up here to 137. Let's look at the moving averages. Still struggling. Let's go to the 50. So 50 and 20 way up here. We have the 200 at like 115, so we're above that. So that is great support. Let's look at the daily. And on the daily, very important close actually, because we have the 20 right here as support. We finished above that. That's bullish. If we would have finished below that, then there would be potential to come back down here to like 119, 116 right away. But now you can see that the 50 is up here at 130. So the path of least resistance now is up here to 130 into supply, because we have support here at 122.50-ish. So you can see here that makes a lot of sense. Come up here, test the 50, probably pull back to the 20, and then ramp up here. And I'd be looking to get above the 50 and the 20. We can look at the 200. The 200 might actually be above it. Let's see. Yeah, the 200 is all the way up here at 150. So I'm not sure if it'll get above that or not. That's kind of a wild card. And then on the weekly, you can see here, we should hit the 20 on the weekly after this movement. So up to the 50 on the daily, pull back to the 20 on the daily, up to the 20 on the weekly. Into weekly supply, and I would probably be selling there, because that would be it'd be like a 15 to 20% move. But it's possible, we'll see how it goes, that it gets all the way up here to 157. But again, if it's going to come down here to 93 bucks, then if it gets above this, it's going to make it a lot harder to get back down there. So we'll see how it plays out. All I know is I'm bullish right now, and there's no point in shorting this. There's no point in having covered calls in the stock right now. Wait for it to get up here to like 137 to 140, and then reevaluate, and then maybe sell some shares. You could sell at 128, 132 if you're really trying to play the short-term time frame. But I think that this area is pretty much a given. Well, it's not a given, but it's very likely 137 to 144. That's it for this video. If you like the content, subscribe, like the video, join as a member if you want. I do member-only videos. Some of the time, I'll add in the GEX levels, which is the gamma expiration levels. Gives you a better view of what's going on. Actually, you know what? For this video, I'm just going to go ahead and add it in. Let's go to this is what you get if you're a member. I do this a lot on the videos, give you a better view. So it's saying 125 for this week, but for the 7th, it's getting up there, and it's saying 135 or 120. I would say that 120 makes more sense based on what I just showed you, because we have that demand zone or supply zone here at 125 to 131. So if it comes up here to 128, backs off, finishes at 125, pulls back to 120, and then these don't even pay attention to them that much. They're too far out. But that could also be a signal of this coming back down later in the summertime. So give you a little bit of idea of what's going on with AMD. Let's actually go to the matrix. So we have positive GEX and positive DEX for the next 2 weeks. Very positive bullish movement expected for the next couple of weeks. This is still bullish. And then you get down here, look at this though. We have a lot of negative GEX, negative DEX, which is delta, and then this is gamma. So you can look at call resistance too. So put support. You don't see much below 100. You don't see anything below 100. and we're at 122. We're at the low end of the range, and then you see on the call resistance some up here at like 200. So 130, 125, 150. 150 is a pretty big number to get past, I think, on this. So take all that information with what I said with call resistance, supply and demand, and that's the update on AMD for now. Probably going up here to 137 to 141, potentially in the next 2 weeks.